Hello, my name is Sofia Ramirez, and I'm a volunteer at the Pima County Library. We are interviewing youth about the arts this summer, and I have a special guest today. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Imogen Rose. I'm 17 and I'm a singer songwriter from Tucson, Arizona.
Awesome. So, one of the reasons why we're interviewing you here today is because of your volunteering through the program at Groundworks. To get everyone a better sense of what Groundworks does, can we know what projects you personally have worked on through Groundworks?
Well, I started becoming involved with Groundworks when they were hosting a show called Creation in Isolation, and I just submitted a song that I had written during the pandemic, which is what the focus of the art installation project was. And so Logan, who runs Groundworks, had me come in and record the song live in the Groundworks space on the stage, and that was just how I got to know him. It was a really great experience. And then he asked me back to play for a live stream fundraiser that they hosted this May. And along with performing a set, I also got to learn how to work a soundboard and do the sound engineering and mixing for a live performance, which was really neat. And it's he's a very learning focused guy, and this whole space is really just about growing. So that's what I did.
Perfect. It sounds like you're like a sort of in-house musician. Does that sort of make sense? Is that a
Uh,
good description?
I wouldn't call myself an in-house musician yet, given that I've only really performed twice. I would love to be, because it's such a great space, but I mean, I'm just excited to see what they do next, so.
Awesome. So far, what has been your favorite of the projects you've worked on, and what skills did you practice or learn?
Well, I just loved the live stream. I got to meet loads of really talented musicians and really, really nice volunteers who taught me how to work with a band, set up the stage, and mix the audio. I had to practice my set, but that was the question: what I had to practice and what skills I had to learn.
Yeah, just anything you've sort of picked up.
Um, Really, how to work with all the moving parts, I think, was a really big point of that project. I paid attention the best I could so that I would be able to, make the band happy with what they were hearing in their monitors, make the audience happy with what they were hearing across the live stream, and make everybody that was working on it happy so that things could run smoothly. Yeah.
Nice. So before we switch to talking more about your music specifically, do you have any advice for people who might want to work with or volunteer through Groundworks?
Yes. Just email them. Logan, again, who is one of the few people who runs it, and is the person that I know best there, is incredibly kind, incredibly respectful, and is really willing and wanting to help you get involved or, create or learn in any way, shape, or form. And really, I've not been in a better space for that. So I would just advise anybody to reach out and be willing to take that leap.
Awesome. All right, so let's get into your own music. You've released some music recently. To give people a better sense of what your music would sound like, what musicians have inspired you?
I really love Briston Maroney and Adrian Linker, who are kind of lesser known. People ask me what kind of genre of music that I listen to, and that's a terrible question because I really enjoy all genres of music, and I'm a really big fan of jazz music, John Coltrane, Billie Holiday, but I think the people that have inspired me most are Briston Maroney and Adrian Linker, and Julian Baker, who is one of the three in the Boy Genius band. They're smaller, so they don't really ring a bell, but they've influenced my music the most, for sure.
So you mentioned that you'd started working with Groundworks recently, but how long have you been making music independently?
Um, well, I've always been singing, and I've been writing music since I was really young. But I would say that I've officially been making music and considered myself a songwriter since my freshman year of high school, which I'm about to go into my senior year, so 3.5 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask, what made that switch from like casual hobby to like considering yourself a songwriter?
The consistent, like, how often I wrote songs, how often I songwrite, as well as my knowledge on the subject and how seriously I wanted to take it. Before, when I was younger, I didn't really know how to play the guitar that well or play any instruments. It was just, there was music around me, but I didn't fully have a grasp on how to use it. And when I went into my freshman year of high school, I decided that I would start taking, a guitar class and start songwriting, but it wasn't fully like a decision that I was like, okay, now I'm taking it seriously. I think it made more sense as I grow because I didn't have much to say before then. Like, I was just a kid. I mean, I still am a kid, but I was a younger one, so.
Nice. You talked about like what sort of motivated your the beginning of your music career. What do you think motivates you currently? Like, what motivates you to create music?
I really want to make music that people can relate to and that can, one, help me work through the emotions and the experiences that I'm having, but also can help other people see their life in a different light or gain a different perspective, or at least have something that says what they're feeling even if they don't know it. And that's a high feat that I guess I'm trying to take on, but to me, songwriting is just a communication and an experience that's shared, and that's what I love about listening to other music, and so it would be a joy if somebody can connect to my music in any way, no matter if it's one person or 5 people, or I can't even really believe that there would be more than that, so.
Well, speaking of experiences, one of the biggest experiences we've all had to go through together is the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown. So how has COVID-19 affected your music making process, if it has at all?
Well, I think I'd be giving the same answer that a lot of my friends and other artists have or would give you, but it really made it difficult to create anything. Because when I'm sitting alone in my room and I'm not having, ultimately it's a huge new experience, and none of us had gone through a pandemic before, but at the same time, I was doing the same thing every day, and so there was nothing new to write about, nothing new to talk about past a certain point. I felt like I created art up to my limit and then plateaued from there, and that made it harder, but it also makes it so much easier to go back into the artistic mindset as we're coming out of what life used to be like. And now that I'm around more people, I find myself being filled with new ideas in a way that I haven't for so long. Yeah.
Do you think that human connection is another one of those motivators for your music?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a people person. And also my writing's very relationship focused, but also it's kind of existential, and it's kind of, at least the stuff that I'm writing now, it's introspective, but I wouldn't change at all if I didn't interact with other people, and there would be no inspiration. I wouldn't be who I am. Like, I love being around other people, and everything in my life that brings me joy includes being around others.
Nice. Well, that brings me to my next question. What parts of the music making process are you excited to change as we're nearing the end of COVID lockdown?
I'm really excited to collaborate again. I love writing with other people, and while I've tried that over Zoom, all year. I really kind of attempted at it and joined different songwriting groups and met different people. It's such a different experience than being able to sit with somebody and feel the connection that you have writing a song and, get excited together or get frustrated together and be able to also communicate that in a way that is totally honest, which is something you can't really do over Zoom. And yeah, that and also just playing with other people and going to shows again.
Nice. Do you consistently write with other people?
I try to. Yeah, I try to. I always learn something from it. So it's, I would never want, how would I say this? I always learn something from it. And I try to. However, it's very frustrating at times. So I think I have a healthy dose, and I'm always looking to write with more people.
Nice. To those of us who are not experienced with songwriting, how would you describe, is there a difference, or what are the differences between writing with a person versus writing by yourself?
Well, when you're writing by yourself, I think the song can be very personal, which can be great. It can be raw. But it can also become so personal that you're blinded by the emotion that you attach to it, to the point where you can't see where the song's going or the quality of it or how it's appealing to other people because it appeals to you so deeply. Whereas when you're writing with somebody else, there's a middle ground that you both go to where you want to make yourself happy, but you also want to make your partner happy. And the partner always has new ideas that you never would have come up with. So, whereas when you're writing with yourself, you can often get stuck in a rut writing the same thing, using the same metaphors. But again, writing with somebody else, it's just fresh perspective. I think it's the same way that any project changes when you're working on it with somebody else, It's, it's just different.
Nice. So what are some of your future plans for your music career?
I intend to write always. I intend to study music in college. I'm not quite sure what that's going to look like yet, but I always want to play and perform. I'm working on recording some more songs this upcoming year and working on the recording process and learning that, because that's just another whole part of music that I love. So just kind of keep going at it the way I am.
Nice. Could you give us some of the basic steps of the recording process specifically?
Just like if you wanted to sit down and record a song, or how so?
Sure. Like, as someone who has actually recorded music, do you explain the basics of a recording process to someone who has never recorded music? If you're able to.
Well, I guess I'll go at it as a songwriter as a musician instead of, I like to record, but I would not consider myself a recording engineer or anything. Well, I always go in knowing that my song's going to change because it always changes in ways that I would not expect. You go in with a song, you meet the people you're working with, either you know them or you don't. I guess it depends on whether or not you're going to a studio and buying 2 hours of time and you're working on it yourself, or if you're working with a producer, which I've had the experience of working with a producer connected through a family member, which was a joy. And we went in, we listened to the songs that I had written, kind of bounced ideas off of each other, and then we had other studio musicians come in and kind of throw their ideas onto the song, and then gave it a go and recorded. But I've only actually really had one real recording experience. Everything else has been at home since COVID happened. But that was in 3 days, and it was banging it out. It was nonstop. I think that answers your question. I don't really know how else to.
No, that's perfect. Thank you. So I have one more question after this, but where can we hear your music specifically?
My music is on all streaming platforms. And I do put some music out on Instagram and YouTube, which I intend on being more active on in the near future. But anywhere that you normally find your music, then you can find it mine.
What's your like name going to be under for those streaming services?
My artist name is Imogen Rose.
Imogen Rose. Perfect. All right. So you've done a great job answering some like pretty hard and pretty personal questions. So let's end on an easier one. What is your favorite snack of all time?
Oh, jeez. See, you say the other ones were hard, but this one requires some real thought. I'm a
You
really
can do
big.
top three or something if it's hard.
Oh, you're good. I'm a really big fan of Oreos. I love Oreos and milk, or like Oreos and almond milk. That's probably like my go-to. Every birthday, I always have that as my dessert. And if I'm feeling like really sad, sometimes I'll go to the store and I'll buy some of that. So,
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. It was a pleasure to meet you.
yeah, thank you so much.